Hey guys, Bot25 here, watching the docking of Progress-M28-M.
The Orbit 1 team is on console. This is the overnight shift, presiding over the first part of the cruise day and working in concert with their Russian counterparts at the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow. On console at this hour is Flight Director Jeff Radigan on the right side of your screen, joined on console this morning by astronaut Scott Tingle, who is the spacecraft communicator who will be talking to the crew during the early morning hours this morning as we watch over the shoulders of the crew as they monitor the arrival of the Progress 60 cargo craft. Across the Atlantic Ocean at the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov outside of Moscow, the Russian flight control team is presiding over the final minutes of this two-day journey of the unpiloted Progress cargo ship, which launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan 2 days ago. We'll talk about that in a moment. Those flight controllers are monitoring the approach of the Progress, now less than 10 kilometers away from its destination, which is the Pirs docking compartment on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. We have ground stations, and you're looking at a view of the telemetry coming from the external camera on the outside of the Progress vehicle, which is relaying all of the data back to the Russian flight control team. The approach of the Progress at this point has been rock solid, all of its systems in excellent shape, with its approach matching all of the parameters and its automated engine firings right on the money as it closes in on the neighborhood of the International Space Station. You can see in the lower left-hand corner of your screen the 8.545. That is the distance right now of the Progress from the International Space Station, about 8.5 kilometers away. The value right underneath that is the closure rate, which is about 12.5 meters per second. At the time of docking, which is scheduled at 2:13 a.m. Central Time, the closure rate will be reduced to just 1/10 of a meter per second, a very glacial rate that will enable the forward docking probe on the Progress resupply ship to nestle into the Pirs docking compartment port. At that point, after a period of a couple of minutes, to allow the relative motion of the two vehicles to stabilize and dampen out against one another, that forward docking probe will retract, initiating the closure of the hooks on both sides of the docking interface, and a hard mate will be initiated between the Progress and the International Space Station. The Progress is carrying chock full with food, fuel, and supplies for the Expedition 44 crew in the name of 1,940 pounds of propellant, 106 pounds of oxygen, 926 pounds of water, and 3,133 pounds of dry cargo and experiment hardware, other logistical supplies for the crew, a total of 6,105 pounds. About to be delivered to the International Space Station, and that will be a sight for sore eyes for the crew on board the station. This arrival of the Progress coming in the wake of two consecutive resupply ship failures, the Progress 59 failure back in late April, and last Sunday's failure of the SpaceX Dragon cargo ship, which was lost shortly after launch. The crew on board the International Space Station, the commander, Gennady Padalka, the all-time record holder for most days in space by a human being, and the two one-year crew members on board the station, NASA flight engineer Scott Kelly and Russian flight engineer Mikhail Kornienko, are receiving the arrival of the Progress-60 cargo craft today, and this the 100th day of their flight since they were launched on their Soyuz spacecraft from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan back on March 27th. So on their 100th day in space, the anticipated arrival of the Progress and its supplies, a welcome sight for that trio on board the orbital outpost. As we mentioned a moment ago, the Progress began its journey in the early morning hours on Friday morning with a liftoff from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, that launch occurring at Site 1, the Gagarin launch pad at the Central Asian Spaceport, launch occurring at 11:55 and 48 seconds p.m. Central Time on Thursday night, which equated to 10:55 and 48 seconds a.m. in Baikonur. The Soyuz climbed gracefully away from the launch site in Baikonur, arced out to the northeast on its 8-minute 46 ride on the three stages of the Soyuz booster. The Soyuz booster functioned perfectly. It delivered the Progress spacecraft into its preliminary orbit with a nominal spacecraft separating compartment. There is another Progress supply vehicle, the Progress-58 cargo craft, that arrived back in February, that is docked to the aft port of the Zvezda service module. This Progress, again, loaded with more than 3 tons of food, fuel, and supplies for the crew members on board the International Space Station. This is the current configuration of the station, with the Progress again docked to the aft port of Zvezda. The Soyuz spacecraft that carried Kelly, Kornienko, and Padalka, that is docked to the Poisk module on the space-facing side of the International Space Station's Russian segment. After the Progress arrives for its link-up just 36 minutes from now, the configuration of the station then will show the Progress-60 cargo craft on the Pirs docking compartment, which was launched in September of 2001, serving as both a docking port and an airlock for Russian-based spacewalks from the International Space Station.
We can here and see if we can dig something up for you.
The anticipated docking of the Progress, about 35 and a half minutes from now, will set the stage for the launch of the next trio of crew members that will be sent on their way to the International Space Station in their final week of training at the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center in Star City, Russia. On your left is NASA astronaut Kjell Lindgren. In the middle, Russian cosmonaut and Soyuz commander Oleg Kononenko. And on the right is Kamiya Yui of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. Again, they are in their final week of training at the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center outside of Moscow. On Friday, July 10th, they will fly from Star City home just before Christmas. The International Space Station is currently flying 250 statute miles above the Earth, and 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. We are passing within 4 kilometers now the distance between the Progress resupply craft and the International Space Station. All of the Progress systems are in excellent shape with no issues being tracked whatsoever by the Russian flight control team in Korolyov. About 10 minutes before we went on the air, some 20 minutes ago, Flight Director Jeff Radigan here in Mission Control polled his team of flight controllers. All of them were go for final approach and docking of the Progress resupply craft. The Corps' automated rendezvous system was activated about an hour or so ago, both on the Progress vehicle, the active side, if you will, and the passive receiver of the Corps' automated rendezvous system on the Zvezda service module. That Corps' automated rendezvous system has checked out in good shape with no issues associated with its activation and operation to this point. Padalka and Kornienko will be inside Zvezda during the final approach and docking of the Progress with
go over
at a workstation inside Zvezda at the ready, if necessary, in the event, unlikely event, that a problem would occur with the Corps' automated rendezvous system. They would be able to take over manual control of the flying of the Progress through the Toru system, the telerobotically operated rendezvous that they would use, again, if a problem. Cropped up with Corps. However, Corps and the rest of the Progress systems are operating in excellent shape at this hour.
You're watching it. I understand what you're saying, Yuri.
Assuming a normal docking, once again, the hooks will be closed to form a hard mate between the two spacecraft. At that point, Padalka and Kornienko will spend the better part of 2 orbits, or about 3 hours, conducting leak checks to make sure that we have an airtight seal at the docking interface between the Progress and the International Space Station's Pirs docking compartment. The hatch to the Progress is scheduled to be opened around 5:30 Central Time this morning. The crew may have an opportunity at that point to begin to unload some of the initial cargo housed inside the Progress vehicle. However, the bulk of the unloading of the Progress's cargo is expected to begin on Monday morning. And there you can see the International Space Station coming into view from the Progress's external television camera. Again, we're about 30 minutes away from docking and some 7 minutes away from the initiation of the fly-around of the Progress that will put it into alignment with the Pirs docking compartment on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International cosmonauts. In the unlikely event an issue would crop up with the Corps' automated rendezvous system in the final stage of the approach of the Progress for its docking.
Mi hanyadikán jövünk vissza Magyarországról? És hány órakor körülbelül? Ez meg 10 körül lesz egy kilövés este. Akkor lesz a kilövés.
Are you hearing me okay, Yuri? I am. All right, power on. I verified that on POBPS all the keys are released. Selecting POBPS to initial. BPS initial on. And starting with the rotational hand controller test. So copy. Copy. Deflecting up, all 4 LEDs are on. Deflecting down, all 4 are up. And all 4 LEDs are on. Deflecting to the left, yaw, and to the right, all 4 LEDs are on. Clockwise and counterclockwise. No issues to report. Everything's nominal. Copy. Switching to...
and as you hear from the translation, the tour... command test has been successfully completed by Padalka and Kornienko from a workstation, a rotational hand controller that they're operating in the Zvezda service module.
Quasi-grade, all 4 LEDs are on, and retrograde, all 4 LEDs are on. Translation and controller test successful.
This Progress, once docked, moving from northwest to southeast, all systems on the Progress are functioning as advertised.
Selected the best one. Erie, are you copying me? Yes, I copy all. I found the best one of all available, and I'm just going to keep it at this. Okay, Gennady. This is for you, at your discretion, whatever is more convenient. Convenient for what?
The Progress from this point on will conduct a series of impulse burns of its engine, very, very minor course correction maneuvers to fine-tune its approach to the Piers docking compartment, with the fly-around of the station expected to begin about 4 minutes from now.
Are you getting the video down? Yes, we are getting the format video. However, we'd like to keep you commenting on
the Progress is right on its timeline and has been ever since it launched 2 days ago from the Baikonur Cosmodrome. All of its systems have performed perfectly to this point. A welcome sight of the Progress and its cache of supplies closing in for a docking to the International Space Station. Just 600 meters now separating the Progress from its destination at the International Space Station. Again, at the time of contact and capture, the two vehicles will have a period of a couple of minutes to dampen out the relative motion at the docking interface at the Piers docking compartment before the Progress's forward docking probe begins to retract, essentially to pull in the International Space Station for a hard mate that will initiate the closure of the hooks on both sides of the docking interface.
sorry, to me it almost looks like the panel, like the solar arrays are not deployed. That could just be the resolution.
Station Huntsville on 2 for Scott and IMAX.
'58 spacecraft that is docked to the aft end of the Zvezda service module. Inside Zvezda, as we mentioned, Gennady Padalka, Mikhail Kornienko monitoring the approach of the Progress.
439 meters.
With the fly around of the resupply ship expected to begin about a minute from now. Unlike recent Progress and piloted Soyuz launches that have been timed for a fast-track 4-orbit 6-hour journey from the launch pad at Baikonur toward the International Space Station. This launch date was selected, and a 2-day 34-orbit rendezvous was deliberately selected by the Russian flight control team to match the launch date and the orbital mechanics that were required for a launch on July 3rd. That will align the forward docking probe of the Progress just about 5 minutes from now to the Piers docking compartment for a period of station keeping in which the Russian flight controllers will assess the Progress's systems and its relative position to the Piers docking compartment before the automated command is initiated to send Progress on its final approach for docking.
And deactivate operation mode. Copy. 300 meters. We copy 300 meters.
You can see
the period of station keeping, which typically lasts for a couple of minutes or so, will put the brakes on the Progress as it is perfectly aligned to the Piers docking compartment at a distance of about 213 meters, which equates to 698 feet.
Two 270 meters, 0.47 meters per second. Still flying around. Copy all.
Russian flight controllers confirming that we're about 45% of the way through the fly-around. Everything looking good. The Progress is right on track for an on-time docking less than 19 minutes from now.
Hold 240 meters, 0.25. We copy. Range rate is 0.25 and 240 meters.
240 meters, as you hear, separating the Progress from the space station, and a closure rate The fly-around is now completed. The Progress is now in a roll program that will properly align its solar arrays for final approach and docking.
Everything is moving out of the view. Copy. We're switching to yeah, it's going back. We see a roll maneuver, 210 meters, 0.18 meters per second range rate. Copy.
Again, this is all pre-programmed for the Progress vehicle, the unpiloted cargo craft. Again, the roll program essentially reorients the cargo craft so that its solar arrays are in the correct orientation for the final approach for docking. You can see that roll program being completed at the moment. Progress at just about 205 meters away from the Piers docking compartment.
Выбрали 200 метров.
200 meters.
The roll maneuver is complete and station keeping has begun.
All right, we see the target at the center. Copy.
Геннадий Иванович.
Gennady? Go ahead.
And in short order, the station keeping began and was completed almost instantaneously as the command was initiated for final approach. The Progress now just 100.
First, you need to activate operation, then send the command, then deactivate operation. Okay, copy. BPS initial selected. Operation. Copy. And then what? Format 44. We have format 44. I have the flags for final approach. Final approach. And now disabling operation mode. Excellent. Thank you.
Progress now 180 meters away, closing at a rate of 0.6 of a meter per second.
7. Okay, and we have...
You can see that the Progress is self-correcting itself so that it is properly oriented, looking right down the barrel at the Piers docking compartment.
Gennady, how copy our last? I copy. 707, 160 meters. Copy 160 meters. We have a good visual on the target, and it's stable at the center, and we see the crosshairs aligned.
The Piers docking compartment port is now in the center of those crosshairs on the external camera on the Progress as it moves now within 130 meters of docking.
A little bit of a blockage or shadowing of the target. Copy. Just past the 110-meter mark.
A great view a moment ago of the Progress as it moves into an orbital sunset over the Pacific Ocean.
Sure.
Flying over the Coral Sea just to the northeast of the continent of Australia.
Operation mode.
.90 meters separating Progress and the International Space Station.
90 meters, 0.5 meters per second range rate. Copy. And I just disabled the operation mode. Copy that, Gennady. We have a visual on the target, but it's not very crisp. 80 meters, 0.4 meters per second. Copy.
A good view of the thruster firings on the Progress vehicle. Now just about 70 meters away from link up to the Piers docking compartment and a completion of a 2-day journey.
Approaches closer. You should see the target better. Yeah, 70 meters. And I see the structure. I just don't see the docking mechanism very well. The docking interface, that is. Just past 60 meters. Copy, 60 meters. 0.25 meters per second range rate.
The Progress approaching at about walking.
55 meters now separating Progress from its quarry, the International Space Station. All of the Progress systems are functioning in perfect shape as they have since its launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan in the early morning hours on Friday.
50 meters, 0.19 meters per second. Copy, 50 and 0.19. 50 meters. Closing it at 0.18. The target is practically at the center, maybe quarter of a cell off on the yaw and pitch channels.
You can see the docking target just below the port at the Piers docking compartment. The Corps' automated rendezvous system self-correcting the angle of the approach of the Progress, now just 44 meters away from docking.
45 meters, 0.18.
And the Corps' automated rendezvous system antenna on the Progress has retracted as planned.
The target is 1 degree to the left and a little bit off pitch-wise upward. Copy. At 30 meters, you will need to enable operation mode and also enable abort.
I'm presuming on this what you mean, like the activate just in case something goes wrong. What?
Inaudible meters.
One square large, faster firing.
The Progress and the International Space Station now flying just to the north of Auckland, New Zealand, at an altitude of 251 statute miles.
You broke up, Gennady.
Flying into an orbital sunset.
I'm going to enable operation mode and then enable abort, just in case. Copy.
Progress flying straight and true, all of its systems in excellent shape. .30 meters separating the two craft.
.20 meters. Range rate is 0.11. And the target is clearly visible. A little bit off, 1 degree. Pitch up. The vehicle is stable. And the crosshairs are aligned. Copy.
Approaching the 20-meter mark. Padalka reporting everything is normal. Progress approaching at 1/10 of a meter per second.
A little bit of an offset on the roll side, but it's aligning. 15 meters. Copy. Everything's nominal, Gennady. That's right. The target is about 1 degree offset from the center. Copy.
All angles are reported to be nominal by the flight control team in Korolyov.
About 10 meters. 0.11 meters per second range rate. Copy. About 7 or 8 meters. Range rate is 0.12.
perfect approach by the Progress. Good angles, good speed. Just about 5 meters now separating the Progress from its destination at the Piers docking compartment.
Copy. 6 meters at 0.12.
We're only like less than a minute away from docking.
The range is 3 meters.
Just 3 meters now, standing by for contact and capture of the International Space Station.
Target is a perfect match.
Contact and capture confirmed. Docking confirmed.
Copy.
Docking confirmed at 2:11 a.m. Central Time.
Guys, congratulations. Your cargo vehicle has arrived. Thank you, Vladimir Alexeyevich. We congratulate you as well. Thank you so much for sending it our way. Yes, it's me, Mr. Soloviev. And the warmest regards, best words to you guys, and best wishes from all of our top management. Yeah, it just feels like Christmas in July. The presents are here. All right, well, we'll wait for the lease checks and the hatch opening. Hopefully that you will be able to do everything on time and get your presents today. Gennady. Yes, Yuri. We still need you to do closeout operations.
As you heard, congratulations from the Russian Chief Flight Director Vladimir Soloviev from the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov. Congratulating the crew acknowledging those congratulations. Christmas in July, as it was said, with docking occurring at 2:11 a.m. Central Time, as the International Space Station in Progress passed 251 statute miles above the Earth, just to the southeast of New Zealand over the South Pacific. It doesn't get much better than that. A perfect ride for the Progress and its 2-day journey from the launch pad at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan to the Piers docking compartment, as we watch the relative motion of the two vehicles begin to dampen out against one another. That will enable the docking probe to be retracted and a hard mate formed with hooks to be closed at the docking interface. We'll be standing by for that confirmation. So, on their 100th day in space, Gennady Padalka, Mikhail Kornienko, and Scott Kelly have received a load of more than 3 tons of supplies, food, fuel, and supplies aboard the Progress-60, 1,940 pounds of propellant, 106 pounds of oxygen, 926 pounds of water, 3,133 pounds of other logistical supplies and experiment hardware. A successful cargo delivery to the International Space Station. Once the leak checks are completed later this morning, the hatch to the Progress will be opened. The bulk of the cargo unloading expected to begin on Monday morning.
Okay, Progress is successfully docked. I'm going to end the video here. About 25. Goodbye.